All right, let's go ahead and get started on this. This is homework number 5, or excuse me, chapter 5, homework number 2. We are going to be doing fractions buster again. Remember, we did not test much on it last unit, so we're testing fraction busters on this unit, which is currently chapter 5. All right, so we want to find uh, multiples of 3, of 6, and of 2. I'm going to write them on the side. Multiples of 3 are starting with 3, right? So 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 3 is 79, plus 3 is 10, 11, 12, plus 3 is 13, 14, 15. Okay, so I usually go about total of 5 total numbers. I mean, you can do more if you kind of found out that you needed more, but I usually do about 5 and it works pretty good. If multiples of 6, so I start with 6. So 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 6 is 18, plus 6 is 24, plus 6 is 30. And the multiples of 2 are 2 and then 4, 6, 8, 10, and it keeps going. And you notice that from all of these, you have they all share the number 6. Okay, so the multiple of 6 is going to be the least the least common multiple. All right, so we're going to go ahead and multiply both the left side and the right hand side by 6. So the left hand side, I'm going to put parentheses around it. It's going to be x over 3 plus 1 6 equals, and then put parentheses around 3 over 2. And I'm going to multiply both of these by 6. Okay. So you can work it any way you like, but I'm going to go ahead and do 6 divided by 3 because 6 is on top, right? And 3 is on the bottom. You can think of 6 as 6 over 1. Meaning 6 and 3 is going to do what we call a cross cancellation. So 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2, so you're going to have 2x. Okay. And you're going to go 6 divided by 6 is 1 times 1, which is going to be 1. Okay. Right here, you're going to go 6 divided by 2 is going to give you 3, and then you start the 3, so 3 times 3 is 9. And now you're going to go ahead and solve this. Subtract 1 from both sides. And you get, the 1's going to cancel. And you get 2x equals 8. And go ahead and divide it by 2 on both sides. And the 2's will cancel, not the x, just the 2. And you'll be left with x equals 4. Okay, that's your answer. Okay, this one right here, there's only one fraction that's just a 3. So that means that if I do multiples of it, I won't be able to do anything, right? Because it'll be 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Okay, the smallest multiples of 3 is 3, because that's the only one we have. So that means that from the left and right hand side, I'm going to go ahead and multiply everything by 3. So that 2/3 is going to be 2/3 x plus 6 equals 10. And I'm going to multiply both the left and right hand side by 3. Okay. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, and you still have the 2, and you still have the x, so this is going to give you 2x. Okay, 3 times 6, and there's no fraction here, so there's no dividing. 3 times 6 is 18. And the same thing here, there's no fraction, so there's no dividing. Just 3 times 10 is 30. Okay, you're going to do the work, and you're going to go ahead and subtract 18. Subtract 18, these 18s are going to cancel out. You're going to be left with 2x equals 30 minus 18. That's going to give you what, 12? Okay, and then you're going to go ahead and divide it by 2. And that's going to give you, 2 is going to cancel out. That's going to give you with x equals 6. That's your answer. Okay, number 3. Use the explicit formula to find the 30th term in each arithmetic sequence. plug 30 in and evaluate. Okay, so you got a hint. Right? So you're going to go T of, and we want the 30th term of that. So we're going to put in 30 for n. So T of 30 equals 5. And remember, your n is actually 30 minus 2, right? So your n is going to be 30. So instead of n here, I'm going to write 30. Okay, use your calculator if you need it. 5 times 30, 150 minus 2. 150 minus 2, 148. That's your answer. Next one, T of n, and again, we want to find the 30th term. So we're going to use 30 in place of the n. So this is going to be T of 30 equals negative 3 times 30 plus 5. Okay, so instead of n, right, instead of n, I'm going to write down 30. So use your calculator if you need help. Negative 3 times 30 is negative 90 plus 5. That's going to get you negative 85. All right, number 5, for each arithmetic sequence, write an explicit formula. So basically write one of these. Okay, remember, explicit formula. And these are written, you know, not sort of backwards, but in a different way. But you want to write it, start off as T of n. I'll write it up here. You want to start off as T of n equals, and then your initial term, right, or your beginning, or your, what do you call it, your 0th term, plus your number times n, right? And this is your, this is what we call your common difference. Okay, so you need a number there and you need a number there. And remember, this is exactly just like y equals mx plus b. And we've done this many times before. It just looks a little differently because we're calling it an explicit formula for arithmetic sequence. Right, so instead of explicit formula for arithmetic sequence, it really is just y equals, too big, sorry, y equals mx plus b. It's written just written backwards. So our explicit formula is that T of n equation. Right? So looking at this pattern, you see that from 4 to 8 is plus 4. 8 to 12 is plus 4. So I think this works because 12 plus 4 is 16. So yep, this works. And 16 plus 4 is going to give you 20. So this pattern does work. It is just a plus 4 pattern. All right. So now we know that our common difference is just going to be plus 4. It's a common difference. It's just d equals 4. Our first term, we can, if we have a list or we have a table or if we have a graph, we can totally count backwards. So from 4 to 8, we're adding, so from 4 to the previous number, we're going to subtract 4. So that would mean that our previous number should be 0. Okay, so t of 0 is actually just 0. Our explicit formula, remember, we're going to use that. So it's going to be t of n equals, our starting is going to be 0 plus our common difference, that's going to be 4n. We can write this as t of n equals 4n. Don't need to count the 0 because it doesn't actually need to show up. All right, so this one right here, from negative 2 to 5, I'm not sure, but I know from 5 to 12 is 7, so plus 7. And let's see if that works. From 12 to 19, yep, that's plus 7. And 19 to 26, add it, yep, that's plus 7. So now I know that from negative 2 to 5 is plus 7. Okay, so our common difference is d equals 7. Okay, the starting term, and because I've started at plus 7, then that means that if I want to go backwards to the starting term, the 0 term, I have to go minus 7. So negative 2 minus 7, that's going to give me a negative 9. Okay, so my 0th term is going to be negative 9. Okay, remember, my explicit formula is going to be this one right here. So I'm going to start with t of n equals, my starting is negative 9 plus, and then it's going to be my common difference of 7 times n. Okay, if you want to make it match this one, you can also write it as t of n equals 7n minus 9, and that's going to be more like that's going to be more likened to the y equals mx plus b. Okay, so either way works. You can do the same for here as well. All right, that's your answers.